Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Berkman, Director of the McCourtney Institute for Democracy.
And I'm Chris Beam, the Managing Director of the McCourtney Institute. And our job today is to talk about the election, what happened, and try to give some semblance of, of analysis very early on to what happened with the election. So, Michael, let's just start with that. What happened?
What happened? Well, I think the most important thing that happened is that Hillary Clinton's firewall in the industrial north collapsed.
So say the industrial north, you're talking about
Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and
Ohio.
And Ohio.
Yeah. And these were, Ohio was always...
Ohio was never part of the firewall.
Right.
So it's really Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. And no one, even people in Trump's own campaign, thought that, well, maybe they thought a little bit.
I don't think that's true, actually. I mean, according to Bloomberg News today, the Trump data operation, which was really not talked about very much during the campaign, they were doing a different kind of modeling than the...
They kind of changed it very late in the game, right?
Yes, they did. And they thought, especially after the Comey episode, that they were seeing high turnout and really strong results for themselves in rural areas in the upper Midwest and the industrial states we're talking about.
And that's why right before the election they went to Michigan and Wisconsin.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
So what is it exactly that happened in these states particularly that destroyed this firewall?
Yeah, it's exit polls are not really complete yet, so we're operating off some incomplete information, but I think we can reach some conclusions right off the bat. One is that turnout was just much higher than they expected in some largely white rural areas. And so not only was it higher, not only were there people voting who didn't previously vote, but in areas that Barack Obama had done well in, Hillary Clinton did not. And then there are also some indications that turnout may have not been particularly strong in areas, in some Democratic strongholds. I think it's probably going to turn out to be true in Milwaukee and in Detroit, although not in Philadelphia, where she did quite well. And I'm looking at two other factors as potentially pretty important. Women, especially white educated women, did not come home did not go for Hillary Clinton the way I think we thought they would.
We expected,
in a lot of the early discussion. And there was some vote for the third-party candidates that, in a very close election, could have made the difference.
Right. So we're talking 1-2%, but
might have done it.
When you're talking about a state that had a balance of, 10,000 votes or less, that could have made the difference.
Florida's awfully close. Michigan's awfully close.
North Carolina, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
And I think in North Carolina we have to look too at changes that were made after large parts of the Voting Rights Act were gutted. I mean, we've seen the imposition of new voting restrictions in many of the states. We've also seen changes in early voting, where early voting was reduced. We know that in many largely African-American areas of North Carolina that there were not sufficient numbers of early voting areas. We saw long lines in a variety of states. So a lot of data to be crunched on that, but I know some people will be looking at that too.
Well, that's true. I mean, there were new voter ID requirements in Wisconsin, and as far as we know, turnout in Milwaukee City was down.
Where studies have shown a lot of people did not have the proper ID too.
Right.
Yeah.
Although we don't know, because we don't have the data yet, to know how much of that is because of changes in voter ID or just a diminished enthusiasm for Hillary Clinton.
Right, exactly. And that's important because we can talk about, obviously if more people turned out to vote for Hillary Clinton, she would have won.
Right.
Hillary Clinton just did not excite. And she didn't excite among groups that we really thought she would, as they say, women. We see a lot of millennial voting for third-party candidates. She just didn't turn out the Obama coalition in the way that she needed to.
Right. And Trump was able to find, at least to some degree, and a sufficient degree, these kind of hidden Trump vote that they were all talking about and that most everybody else didn't think was there.
Except Ed Rendell when he was here.
Yeah, right.
Said exactly that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael. We'll be back. We'll have more to say. A lot to talk about with this election.